Four Midwest Guys presents...
It's a groovy time for a movie time. So grab your gap and grab a seat. But don't forget to get something to eat. Delicious meat and nutritious meat.
You can't beat my meat for a special treat. Sucking on me is really neat.
Don't be a jerk and don't be
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Midwest Guys presents our 10 worst movies of 2017. I am known as the Dirty Jay-Z. Here with me is Mr. Brian Ankenbauer.
Hey, what's up, what's up?
And our lovely podcast host and overall guru, Mr. Brian Willenbrink.
You call me B. Willie. What's going on, guys?
All right, so here we are today to talk about our 10 worst movies of the year. And, of course, we will do the social media thing. Mr. Brink,
Absolutely.
can you show us how to do
so
that?
before we get started, guys, just in case you want to know where to find us, the best place to go is right at the top there. That's www.4midwestguys.com. On there, you can get to our all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well as our Podbean. You can follow, like, subscribe, iTunes as well. Everything's on there. You can also find us on Twitter at 4MidwestGuys, at AnkZone, at BWillie1977. And we got something new there kicking, Mr. Ankenbauer.
Yeah, on Instagram where you can sit behind the scenes photos and stuff at the_real_Ank.
Yep, a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff if you kind of want to see what goes on. Little pictures of the day kind of thing.
You can find all that stuff at www.4midwestguys.com.
That's right. That's the number 4, midwestguys.com. All right. Johnny, you want to say it just for the sake of saying it?
Will it be the fourth time, though?
Yeah, that'll be the fourth time.
For www.4midwestguys.com.
Ooh, he's got a nice voice. I think we should have him do it from now on.
Well, hello there.
Hello there.
All right. So again, as I said, this is Four Midwest Guys bringing to you our personal choices for the 10 worst movies of the year. That's right. These are the movies that we had to sit through at least 2 hours of. So we are here to present to you at least 20 hours each of our misery of this past year. So that said, Mr. Ankenbauer, what was your first miserable film of this year?
My first wreck of the year at number 10 is Transformers: The Last Knight.
Oh, God. Another Transformers movie.
So, much like every trailer that ever comes out for Transformers, you're like, oh my God, this one doesn't look bad. And then,
Really?
Yeah.
I laughed at the trailers
Every
when they came out.
trailer that comes out, you're like, wow, this looks good. Like, this actually, I can see this being good. This can be decent. And then, and then you start watching, you're like, nope, it's the same.
Same shit.
Same shit. And then you get so far into the movie, you're like, well, I fucking better finish it, I guess. And that's about the way I finished the movie. Because at one point, you're like, really? Really? And I don't. This one though, I didn't feel. We've sat and watched before. Where there's people put up all 3 Transformers at the same time.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Yes, the
back
half
to
of the
back,
bad guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So we watched
Did
that.
they hit the plot
Yes,
points exactly
and they
at the right time?
This one does not do that. Because I was actually looking for that. Because I was like,
See if it follows the
yes,
formula.
I was see if it follows the formula. It did not follow the formula. But it was just so.
What the hell kind of formula was that?
It was just stupid.
Oh, like, okay, see, I remember. Okay, what you say about the trailer? I remember looking at the trailer. It hit the title, and it gets that moment of silence at the end. And there I was that asshole in the theater, loud enough, going, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Is it? And honestly, guys, when you think about our childhood, it's the raping and pillaging of our childhood. And when you think, and I get it, Transformers was built just to sell toys. I get that. But when you think about some of the cool shit they did in the cartoon series and how they've totally
There's better
train wrecked
stories.
this,
There's better stories to tell.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares about Shia LaBeouf? Or
I mean,
Mark
what is-
Wahlberg and
now-
his family? Who
now-
cares about them?
I do want to bring it up.
Uh-huh.
There's another one coming out this year.
What? Another one?
Another
A
Transformers.
spin-off, right?
It's the spin-off. It's just a Transformer movie about Bumblebee. However, it is not the Bumblebee that we see in this one.
I've seen that.
It is a completely different one.
A whole new Bumblebee in a completely different universe.
It is a Bumblebee that we knew as a cartoon where he was a Volkswagen Bug.
Oh, so somebody's trying to do it justice.
And starring
It's starring John
John
Cena.
Cena!
So,
Well, never mind. It was sounding good.
right. So
There
that,
goes that.
And it's a third of the budget of the.
Yeah,
Guess what this is? Me not seeing the movie.
so that,
You can't act.
so that may be. I don't know. John Cena's gotten pretty funny in
No,
some of this shit.
I like
but
Trainwreck.
that may be on my next year's worst of.
You know-
However, I'm really holding out hope because it's not Michael Bay,
yeah.
and it.
I would pay to see that.
Yeah,
actually, to see a Transformers
it's
movie
not
about
Michael
it.
Bay, and they're not using any of the same stuff from this movie, so there's no have to worry about Shia LaBeouf or any of the dog
Good.
humping scenes or any of that shit. So
You know,
I'm really optimistic about this one more so than I was about the other ones.
I'll never forget the first time you actually brought Revenge of the Fallen over to our house. I actually was in a giving mood or like a passable mood when I saw the first Transformers movie, and I kind of liked it. I was like, you know what? It's fun. It's dumb. It knows it's dumb. It's having fun. Whatever. And then I saw the second one. You actually brought the second one over to our house. By the time I got halfway through the movie, I looked at you and Steph as like my face felt like it was melting from how dumb it was.
Yeah.
I saw the third one. It was awful.
It just
And I'll
kept
tell you
getting
the
that way.
This movie, I'm going to touch on 2 plot points because you're talking about a formula. Fucking King Arthur and a robot butler. What the shit? That's all I
Fantastic.
have to say.
Fantastic.
There's
You know,
King
just-
Arthur with a robot butler.
Let me
No,
just
no, there's King Arthur and a robot butler, and Anthony Hopkins has a robot butler in the movie. It's just
let me just tell you that
there's
this
so much dumb in this.
this movie is so complex that it feels like
Needlessly complex.
Yes.
It throws plot points at you. to try to
yes,
sound
I was gonna
complex.
say it
Yeah.
feels like there's like just like 50 different storylines going on and how one ties into the other and everything else, and you're like, by the time you're all done, you're like, why the fuck didn't we just start here and work our way to there instead of like, we'll go this way and then we'll show you how it forked off and went this way, and then we'll show you how it forked off and went this way, but touch back here, and then I mean it was just all over the place, and you're like, okay.
You know, that movie actually hovered around the bottom of my 10 worst list, and it actually is not on it. That's my honorable mention for, didn't quite make the 10 worst, because honestly, I think I'm at the point where I'm tired of kicking Michael Bay. Like, he's topped enough of my worst of the years for movies. You guys were watching Armageddon when I came in.
Yep.
You've heard me shit talk Michael Bay before.
You wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, man.
No,
I'll be
I
honest
wouldn't.
with
It's a fucking awful movie. It's still the worst movie of 1998.
It's got a cult following now, though.
As long as you enjoy it, ironically, and not like an actual movie. That's the only way to enjoy it. But still, it didn't make my 10 list.
What about your number 10, John?
My number 10 is actually never got released in theaters, but it's a Netflix film. Not Bright. Death Note.
Yeah.
Death Note,
Heard
as
about
if
it.
anyone else from our 4 Midwest guys, if we have anyone that watches any of our side shows, knows that was the very first Movie Masochism podcast. And I still recall to this day, there was so much going on in it. I never got around to watching the anime series it was based off of, but I'm used
Me
to
neither.
watching. I'm used to watching like the anime shows before. Like I've seen them deal with complex issues and really great storylines, and just they know how to take this kind of subject matter and make it relevant and meaningful and have a sense of creepiness to it. Like I used to love watching Paranoia Agent on Adult Swim, and I've seen some clips from Death Note. I thought, hey, I've seen that, but with Death Note, I couldn't tell you the first damn thing about the movie looking back on it right now. Like it is so
That forgettable.
dull.
We are in the same boat
lifeless.
because I saw the movie as well.
You know-
and when I watched it, I watched the entire movie waiting for it to get better.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, this could get, this could get,
You know-
oh, this could, and it never
Yeah,
did.
It's just, it has so many great possibilities of the story, and again, it's also my issue with Bright too, but not quite enough to make my 10 worst list the way that this one did, because this one had so much potential. You knew there was good source material out there for it.
Exactly.
You knew there were good themes that had been tackled well, and it chose just to settle for high school mediocrity. It felt like watching Twilight fan fiction. It was dull and lifeless, and I look back on it,
agree
I'm
with
just like, there's nothing enjoyable about this movie.
I'll agree with it. That was a very good take on it because that's about the way I felt about the movie. I mean, it didn't make my top 10 list, but it definitely, like we were talking about, movies that didn't make my list.
Yeah, honorable.
you know, in
Or
our
dishonorable in this case.
our
Well,
dishonorable mentions, yeah.
It was so bad it didn't even make my dishonorable mention.
You know, in our last podcast, we talked about our best of the year, and I was talking about the disaster artist in the room, and even like Armageddon, like we enjoy things ironically, like we watch a bad movie and we laugh at how stupid it is.
Mm-hmm.
The stupid in this movie is not even worth laughing at. It's tragic to watch. It's that bland. Like I can't even watch it. I mean,
It's not even a train wreck quality.
no. Like the stuff on my list that you're going to hear about is of a quality that you can't get any joy out of.
Where do we want to do our honorable mentions? Do we want to do it?
I'll still go left or like once we get
One,
around to
two.
number one.
Okay, good.
I said number 2, right before 2.
Okay,
I think
that works for me.
Okay,
But-
well,
number
you're running
one.
the show.
Okay,
All right.
I think number one because this way we say
Honorable
like, hey, we
mention
got up
before
there.
number 1.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so your number 9 would be
My number 9, Kingsman: Golden Circle.
that.
Really?
Hurts. That hurts. I did
King-
enjoy that.
Kingsman, first one,
Uh-huh.
great movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
Second
One
one,
of my favorites.
awful.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
It looked funny.
Wow.
I've
No,
only saw from
it
the
was
previews.
I enjoyed it too.
Really?
I saw. Steph and I went to the theater to see
Like
that
the
was
whole
one of our date
Statesman
nights.
and America.
God.
and
It was. I had.
Fuck
you
yeah,
know what?
and all
It
that
was
looked
dumb,
hilarious.
Okay,
but
so-
it knew it was.
Yeah,
dumb,
yeah.
You know, it knew it was having fun. It wasn't like the first one.
Correct, and I think that's what bothered me. I really liked the first one so much that I was like, "Wow, this could be really set up to be something good." And what we saw in the trailers about the Statesman is what we saw in the movie because they weren't in the movie that much.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
And
they're
it-
trying to use it for a
and-
spin-off kind of
yeah,
thing, maybe?
and that's what I was thinking, and I was like, it's like this is so. It was. I think the reason why it made my list at number 9 is because it was such a letdown. For my expectations of it were so high because of the first one.
Yeah.
Because I was really surprised with the first one and how well I liked it. And
Oh, yeah.
And a lot. Don't get me wrong. Some of the fight scenes in it, choreographed, awesome, right? But the whole story didn't.
Just
You know,
didn't
like
flush.
all of a sudden, like they drink a whole bottle and they're like, "I guess we're going to Kentucky," and it's like,
Okay.
what?
I gotta say, us being the 4 Midwest guys, you know, it was dumb, but I have a soft spot for a franchise that not just this movie, but the first one has roots in Kentucky. I mean, come on, guys. What movies do we see are set in Kentucky?
It did not save it for me.
It didn't. But there's one point in there that I will side with you on. The treatment of Galahad. I don't want to get into spoilers.
Yeah.
But the treatment of Galahad in that movie was reprehensible.
Yeah, the whole. Yes, it was just.
Just bad. It was a letdown.
It
Giant
was a
letdown.
letdown.
All right, John.
So moving on to my number 9. As we've discussed before, you know how much I love horror movies.
Uh-huh.
My number 9 is a horror film that, sad to say, I've worked with people that have made this movie. Like, they're people that have, like, the people that are in charge of the lighting department. Like, I actually know, like, production coordinators of this movie. Like, I just worked with the key grip on it. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. I've been on set with you. But my number 9 choice of the worst of 2017 is The Bye Bye Man.
I've heard
didn't-
horror stories about this.
I didn't see it, but I heard it was really bad.
Yeah.
This
so.
is a movie that people wondered. It's a PG-13 horror film, which, in and of itself, is kind of a contradiction. Like there could be some good PG-13 horror films, but when I was growing up, the stuff that teenagers would see were like fucking Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. I mean, we saw some graphic shit growing up as teenagers. The teenagers that go to see this movie now and are scared of this,
They're
like,
sheltered.
They are fucking sheltered.
So, like-
this is a movie.
It's a kindler, gentler world.
But I'm telling you, from working with these people and having talked to them about making the movie, this movie was bloodier and gorier when it was shot, because when they went back in post and took care of it because they wanted to make it accessible because they wasn't sure how it was going to play to a crowd, they dyed all of the blood in post-production in black so that it would not get an R rating.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that, and just the name of the guy, the Bye Bye Man. I mean, if you don't say his name or you don't speak him, he doesn't come around.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, just, hey, guess what? I'm the last person to mention him. No series, nothing, done. It's it's done. It's just, it should be a dead franchise before it ever started. Just the concept of it is not a good one. I just mentioned that The Shape of Water was in my 10 best of the year. Doug Jones played the Mermaid Man. Doug Jones is on this movie playing the Bye Bye Man. It's just
from best to
worst. And
the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, it's strange how you can have like a dichotomy in each of you.
Oh yes,
but yeah, I love you guys that have made this movie. We have worked on so many other projects together. I've skinned so many knuckles and sweat and blood and everything with you guys.
But your movie sucked.
The Bye Bye Man was awful, and I wish you guys worked harder on a better film.
All right, cool.
All right, so moving on to number 8.
Number 8, Baywatch.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I thought The Rock could have saved that movie. But
you know what? My number 8's going to go very well with yours, actually.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there was parts in it that I laughed.
Mm-hmm.
Even going over my list, my daughter, I was taking her home earlier, and she was looking at my list, and she goes, but Dad, I liked Baywatch. And I said, yeah, I mean, it was okay, but it was too spoofy.
Yeah.
Like, and it took, like John's one of your good quotes is, it took itself way too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It took itself way too seriously for a spoof movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in spots, it went way too spoofy than what it needed to. And it just...
It's cluttered. It's very cluttered.
Yeah, it could not decide if it wanted to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it just got
It's
lost.
unbalanced.
So
the tone is so unbalanced.
Yeah, so that's why it made my list.
I'll touch back on that concept later in
Yeah,
my list.
so that's why it made my list.
Oh.
You know, and funnily enough, it was up for the worst. You know, the Razzies came out with like their worst picture of the years. That got nominated for worst picture of the year. And what's funny is I looked at that and I was thinking, you know what? You guys are sheltered because number 8 is also along the lines of yours, and I think it might have been one of your honorable mentions. That's why I think it's a great companion with this. My number 8 worst of the year is Chips. Dax Shepard likes doing motorcycle stunts. That's the only reason this movie got made. That's it.
Well, you know what's funny is that Chips. Yeah, you're right. It didn't make my list. It didn't make my honorable mention, but it was pretty bad.
Oh, just
but there were parts of that. There were parts of that movie too that
were funny.
Like there were certain scenes.
I got no joy out of this movie.
Really?
No.
Like there were certain scenes. Yeah, there were certain scenes that were pretty funny. But then, but majority of the movie, you're just like,
I think
stupid.
I think the only thing I liked Dax Shepard in was Idiocracy.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh God, watch Idiocracy.
Idiocracy is pretty funny.
Idiocracy is damn good, but no, I mean, I watched Employee of the Month or Employee of the Year, whatever that fucking was it Jessica Simpson movie from way back in the day that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
That was a shit fest, and every film I've watched him in has been terrible. This movie, the scenes that they try to go for with the humor, like the fucking video chat scenes, or what was it? What's that one actor's name? Not Michael Pena. Is it Michael Pena? That was in. What was it? I can't remember the actor that was in it, but just him constantly looking at girls' asses for like 5 minutes is just. It's, okay, fine. Maybe 10 seconds is funny. Minutes, entire scenes of him watching women in like running pants, or the fucking cat litter bullshit. Like blowing a goddamn. Just that scene where he throws up, looking at cat litter
because he couldn't stand with the smell and stuff.
What the was so fuck? Funny. That was fucking ridiculous. That was the moment that I went, you know what?
What kind of movie is this?
Yeah, this is what is on our worst of the year list. Okay, so that's the moment that when you were saying like I wasn't torn between Baywatch or Chips, I was like, no. Chips is the worst movie because fuck that scene and fuck this movie.
Yeah,
I just checked out.
Because his personality, part of his trait is he can't stomach stuff that smells real bad. So like,
okay, I have a cat.
So there's like,
I have a cat.
So there's like dirty dishes with stuff boiling over, and he's like. Like that, and then he looks over to his, and then there's a cat litter box with still cat shit in it, and he's like, what?
Okay,
and then he falls in it.
Here's the thing. I have a cat. I've grown up with cats. I have had dishes that were in that sink that probably smelled worse than any cat litter box I've ever had. That
Sounds
was
like
just,
you're offended by the cat.
no, not the cat litter. Just it makes no sense.
dumb
It just
system.
makes no goddamn sense. It is dumb. I mean, I'm fine with dumb humor, but in the realm of the world that it exists in, needs to be somewhat intelligent. You know, like Airplane, by all rights, should be a dumb, funny movie, but it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. It's a great, dumb, funny movie, and it's smart about its dumbness. This movie is dumb people making dumb jokes, and it's consistently dumb.
Correct.
All right.
Moving on. That's all I want to say about
So
it.
John hates chips because it's anti-cats.
I hate chips because it's anti-joy.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a lot of that in there, too. All right, number 7 on mine. I just watched recently. A Bad Mom's Christmas.
Oh. You are a braver man than I.
So,
They made a sequel to that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the first
We
one
got
was
some
pretty
sequels
funny.
here.
The first one had some funny spots in it. And I'm like, well, I like Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
I can watch it.
She's easy on the eye.
And,
She's
and I
talented.
like what's Dak Shepard's wife?
Oh fuck! It's not Anna Faris, is it?
No, she's on she's on The Good Place.
Fuck.
Oh, you're talking about the blonde?
Yeah.
I
She's
can't
a
remember.
talented
her name.
actress. too, I
Kristen
know
or
that.
something like
Kristen
that?
Bell.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Kristen Bell.
Both of them. Fantabulous. This movie.
Oh yeah, I've heard scenes about this movie.
Oh my god. It was just like, it was awful. So awful. I think it's part of the fact that the mothers in the movie kind of just tore it down. Like, the first movie was funny because you're like, haha, look at the moms, they're drinking at a PTA meeting and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, can you imagine our moms doing that? Haha, that's pretty funny. And this one was just so, it was almost like they sat in the theater and watched it and wrote down all the scenes where people would laugh, and that's all they put into the second movie.
Made by a focus group.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, what scenes did you laugh the most at? Let's put something like that into this movie.
So it's like they took all the comment cards of the screenings and then just like churned them into a sequel machine.
Yes. And they're like, let's do it at Christmas. Yeah, it's Bad Mom's Christmas.
It's a Bad Mom Christmas.
Yeah, I don't recommend seeing it.
All right.
All right, so to give you kind of a barometer of which way I'm going with this list, my number 7 worst of 2017 is the Emoji Movie.
That made my list as well. That's my number 2, actually.
I never seen it. Woohoo!
You're so lucky.
Because
Oh, God, it's so bad.
I'm just going to say this right now. This was the most soulless movie I've ever seen in my life. This was a movie that it existed to have product placement, to be a quick cash grab,
Oh, yeah.
to have a stupid,
Big time.
generic, tacked-on message by the end. It has nothing to do... The main character is meh.
If you
The
think...
whole movie is striving to be meh.
Although I did like on the trailer, the bathroom scene, and like, we're number 2. We're number 2.
I think that's why I meant it number 2.
Yeah.
Because this movie is shit.
Yeah, no, God, this movie...
It's horrible.
Yeah,
If most kids' movies now have a little bit of adult humor hidden in.
Most kids' movies have adult writers on them.
Anyway, there's none of that. This is written by a 12-year-old.
This is written by
Pretty
someone
much.
that thought,
It pretty much has to be because of their emojis.
I mean, oh God,
it's a movie that
I cringe my way through it. I mean, I get what they were going for, but I was just like,
it's something that when it said, "Hey, we have Patrick Stewart playing a poop emoji, let's make an entire movie out of it," and
it's bad.
that's not a reason. Everything about this movie screamed not a reason to make a movie.
I'm so glad I didn't see it.
You're so
Dude,
lucky.
your list would have been drastically different.
No
if you had.
Oh God, it was horrible.
This is
most movies I take Gabby to, you kind of enjoy, or your kids to, you kind of enjoy it, just maybe a little bit, kind of find something in it.
No, there's
not one damn thing.
Everybody, like the last couple years since DC movies have been getting like shit on by Rotten Tomatoes, everyone says, "Oh, what's the point of Rotten Tomatoes?" This movie's hovering around like a 0% or a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And I can see
There's
why.
a good reason the Rotten Tomatoes barometer exists.
Yeah, this
single-digit movies are garbage.
This is
That's
made-
what you got to watch out.
This
for.
is made for preteens, and it's a cash cow. They're trying to make a quick buck.
This movie was made for zombies. That's it.
Preteens. Anyway,
All right, so I guess that moves us up to number 6 now.
So speaking of movies that were for me meh,
yeah.
Blade Runner 2049
I fucking hate you.
made my list at number 6.
Okay, this will be interesting because this
alright.
was on John's best. So.
Okay,
Come on.
for everything that John loved about this movie is almost the exact reason why I do not like this movie. I did not like first Blade Runner
How many times did you see the first Blade Runner?
twice.
Twice?
Because you said,
Yes, I did.
watch it multiple times, which I do not recommend. I didn't like it the second time. You know how much I didn't like it? I fell asleep the second time watching it about halfway through.
I know how you feel.
It's a slow pace. I'm gonna.
God,
It's a slow pace.
It was so bad. Like
No, it's not bad.
Oh, it is bad.
It's not bad.
It is bad.
There's stuff going on in that movie.
this one-
that is incredibly deep.
This one was even worse. They should never have made this movie.
Bullshit. There's a reason for this movie to be made.
Did the director not say that he wanted to make it even longer?
No, it's not that. The director wanted a good companion piece to the original. It's the
Right.
same director that did Arrival
Right.
last year and has done Prisoners and Sicario. He's a very talented director. He made a great companion piece to this movie. And like you said about defending Rian Johnson doing The Last Jedi, taking a lot of chances, that's exactly what this movie did. It took chances. It was a gigantically budgeted movie. It was not a franchise flick. It was not a superhero flick. It
No,
is
you're
not
right. You're
your
right.
cookie cutter,
Oh, you're right.
blockbuster film you'd see in the summer film.
I
And
agree.
that is why I respect this movie a lot more than I respect a lot of other movies that are so easily funded to get $150 million.
Oh no, I agree. I agree with almost all of that. However, it was a meh movie for me. Like I just did not. I didn't find it
You didn't find it enjoyable.
enjoyable to watch. I don't know. You're right. It's probably the pacing.
It's the pacing. No, it's a slow burn pacing.
Right.
Yeah,
It is probably the
that's thing.
pacing because when I watch a movie, I like to have my ups and downs and my watching it. It feels like I'm moving with the movie, or I get behind. This felt like I was watching almost like I was watching a documentary.
The thing with Blade Runner, I'm going to say this right now. The title itself is very misleading. The original book was called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" All right.
Right.
The title is something that, when you hear it, sounds like it's going to be a thrill ride action adventure because you think Blade Runner. You're like, oh wow, it's going to be great. But here's the thing: Blade Runner, the movies, are meant to be like slow burn mysteries.
Right.
Like
even
an
the
old pulp
trailers.
detective
Even
film.
the trailers made it feel like it was going to be a little faster than what it was. And you're,
To
you're like,
respect,
and
yes, it
you're-
is faster than the
yeah,
original
And you're like,
because you have a different level of Nexus.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
and you're like, well, this could be interesting. Like I didn't like the first one, but I mean, this looks like it could be good.
Yeah.
And then you're watching it, and you're like,
Okay,
no,
I'll tell you this: if
no.
you want to watch the original again, I'll tell you this: look at the eyes. Look at the
Oh,
use
I
of
did.
eyes.
You told me.
throughout the whole film.
Trust me, you've told me a lot about the movie. And that's the only reason why I watched it to begin with. And then I said, I don't know if I liked it. And you're like, no, watch it again, seriously. So I watched it. No, it's not.
Didn't get any better for you.
No, it did not. And then I think the other part of it is watching Harrison Ford in a role, moving so slow. You're just like,
I'll tell you this though:
Indiana's lost his gum.
Yeah. Indiana Jones and the mile-long trek to the bathroom.
but here's the thing: did he have the same exact pacing in the original Blade Runner? Though?
Yes, and
So
that's
the thing.
what I'm saying.
But it is a good companion
Correct.
piece to the original film.
Oh, I'm not
So it's
denying that.
But that's what I'm saying.
But I
It
didn't like the
exists in
first one,
same
so I don't like
universe.
this one. That's
So
what
if
I'm
you're not a
saying.
fan of the first one, you're definitely not going to be a fan of the second.
Correct.
Okay, that's what you're saying. All right.
All right, so this movie, my number 6, goes well beyond, oh, I was let down. This movie's downright fucking offensive. My number 6 worst of 2017 is Charlie Sheen's 9/11.
Hey, number 4 for me.
Holy fuck! Okay, you know what?
Okay. Yeah, you start. I'll finish. Go.
I have seen so much goddamn pandering, cheap, emotional grab September 11th movies since fucking Nicolas Cage's World Trade Center. Like, I saw Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close at home, and I
That was
know
the Tom Hanks one?
the Tom Hanks movie, which he's only in it for like six fucking minutes.
Yeah.
No joke. I threw punches at my TV. I was that pissed off at how cheap it was, and that's exactly what this movie is. It is made by people that are trying to just use an event to play to emotions, and just everything about the story of Charlie Sheen stuck in an elevator. Like, we're supposed to sympathize with a yuppie.
Not winning. Hashtag not
No,
winning.
not winning.
That's part of the
Everything
problem.
about this movie's not winning.
Here's number one right off the bat. I'm sorry, but it's a huge disjustice to everybody who died
Yes.
in 9/11 to put Charlie Sheen even anywhere close to this fucking movie just because of everything that he represents currently and that what he's become. Number one.
Yes.
Number one.
Yes.
Number one. Number
number
two. Putting them in an elevator. Whoopi Goldberg scenes. Crap.
Oh, God,
in the
yes.
basement.
Jesus.
Like, I'm supposed to make her feel like I feel sorry for this person that's stuck in this basement. And like she's supposed to be this huge martyr or something, or he is in the elevator.
It's cheap.
No.
It's cheap. The fact that we're supposed to feel something for these people, it uses
Just-
the event. If it wasn't about September 11th, we wouldn't give a shit
Yeah,
about
about
these people.
people.
Yeah.
No, and I'm sorry. It was just.
Either.
I couldn't get past Charlie Sheen for a start. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Charlie Sheen.
You guys had a bad year at movies.
Oh God, you have no idea how my list is going to go down.
Ooh, that sounds bad.
Dude, don't go anywhere near this
Like,
one. It'll
okay.
piss you. It pissed me off. And I'm pretty cool about movies.
If your list is about broken expectations, what's going to follow? Like, it was sound like on yours and my list.
Yeah.
Ours is just like downright go fuck yourself movie.
This movie is, like I said, I felt like it was a disjustice to everybody who gave their lives at 9/11, putting that stupid
Yes.
motherfucker in that movie.
It's just, it goes more beyond that. It's just the fact that, okay, I forgot one of the biggest 9/11 injustices I ever saw. Robert Pattinson's "Remember Me." It is
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Okay, for an hour and 50 minutes, it is literally, or like however the fuck long that movie was, it is literally just a stupid, dismissible, forgettable, like just Nicholas Sparksy bullshit romance film between him and that chick from Lost. And then it gets to like his big climactic scene where he's going to tell off his dad and stand up for himself. And the camera pans out, and he's in the fucking World Trade Center building during 9/11. And it's this big fucking just everything
disservice.
about that. Yes, and that's exactly what this movie is. But
9/11 's
to
a
a smaller,
huge-
I think the pain has been somewhat dulled by having watched such shitty movies that capitalize on a tragedy.
Well, this one just takes it to a whole new level, in my opinion. And I I'm sorry. It just after all the sacrifice, after everything everybody went through, all the bullshit that went down, and then to put Charlie fucking Sheen in that movie,
You know-
what the fuck were you thinking? Keep going, John.
In
I ain't got
2006, there was a really great movie that came out about it. It's probably the only good September 11th movie I've ever seen, and that was United 93.
nothing. That was a good
With
movie.
Paul,
I saw that.
the guy that directed the Bourne Ultimatum movies.
Mm-hmm.
He makes this movie like real time documentary style. He gets
Mm-hmm.
the people that were actually in the control towers or in like the Air Force,
Yeah.
control centers that
Try
were
to
actually there.
give you the best feel for what
Right,
happened.
like
yeah.
they knew the emotion and they brought that to it. And the movie was all about honoring the people who died. It wasn't about a cheap emotional grab like this movie tried
Well-
to do. These aren't about real people. These are just about made up. These people didn't exist in real life. This wasn't a real story, and just the existence of this movie is absolutely pointless.
Well, it's not just pointless. Like I said, it's a disservice. They're dishonoring. Maybe it's too soon for this movie for me, but it's a dishonor to the people who died.
That's exactly what it is. It's not even that it's too soon. It doesn't have the right tone.
It doesn't have the right tone. It's not the right feel. It's bad. Don't see it. Period. All right.
All right, so I guess that brings us to our
Number 5.
So, we've been over here just
Bashing the
Bashing.
movie. I'm glad I didn't see that one either. My number 5 was Murder on the Orient Express.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
I saw the original from like 1974.
Then you've probably seen this one too.
I probably have.
Because from what I've gathered from other people, this didn't stray far from the original, and the costume is the same. And don't get me wrong, like I felt like I was there during that time because it's based in the past. and so a lot of the stuff felt like it fit.
Yeah.
But it was no, and the fact that they're trying to make this into like another one of those connected universe because they're trying to go from book to book.
The Agatha Christie books. Which, okay, with the Agatha Christie books, I can kind of understand.
But this
they have her crew like the same detective and all.
Right, but this movie was no. That's all I can say. Is no.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it, and the cast looked really good. You had Daisy Ridley, and you had
Judi Dench,
and
Kenneth Branagh. I love that.
Kenneth Branagh, and
you had a lot of Josh Gad. I mean, you had a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
And you would think that it no.
All right.
So
I'm sorry to hear that, actually. But
so we've alluded to another one of our shows what your number 5 might be. So
okay.
I think I'm appropriately ready to discuss.
Are you ready to discuss this?
I am ready.
So yes, on the last podcast, or if maybe you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's our top 10 best of 2017. I gave.
If you want to see some joy from us,
number 5 was actually 3 Billboards. Now, my number 5 for my worst is also 3 Billboards. Now, you may ask, why did I give it best and worst? I gave it best because of the acting, and I explained why in the first podcast, so I won't get back into that necessarily. I'll just say, though, it is some of the best dramatic acting I've seen in a long time. That aside, why did I put it on my worst? This story takes you on a road to fucking nowhere. There is no. Don't even tell me that that's life, and that sometimes that's how life takes you. It's just not. You don't go anywhere. They don't even, when they go off at the end to say they're going to do this thing, and then they go, well, maybe we'll figure it out on the way, and the movie fucking ends. Nothing.
No.
From point A to point B, I wasted my time. I saw some great acting, and there's one really cool kind of fight scene, but other than that, nothing.
Okay,
nothing.
Allow me to tell you the point A to point B, and there will be spoilers ahead. Point A of the film is about the disconnect between the mother and the detective. That is where
himself, though.
Not Woody Harrelson, with Sam Rockwell.
All right.
The disconnect. He is the investigating officer of her murder, and she even said it. Why put the chief's name on the billboard? I know it's not him in charge. The chief's name gets attention. She said that herself. That's why she put his name, not random officer guy that no one gives a shit about.
Right.
It's about the disconnect between her and the detective, and it's about the journey both of them go on through this. Point B is the fact that the two of them have actually broken through their own, walls that they built up in the beginning, and they actually get together to determine that this is a person who may or may not be responsible for what has happened to my daughter, but could be responsible for other things down the road. So it's not so much the fact that it's about the murder, which is probably what we all wanted. We all wanted justice for what happened to her daughter. No, we didn't get that, but what we got was a story about the mother and the detective there. That's your point A, that's your point B, that's the purpose of the story, that was the character arc.
I love how you guys have both opposite opinions of this movie.
It's a fucking brilliant
and if that's the case, then this movie fucking fails. It fails dramatically.
All film is subjective, so you both have your equal opinions and you're both right. In your own mind. So
but I feel like it got. But here's the thing: is I feel like that point got across.
No, not at all.
But did you think of that until I said it?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Now that I've said it,
because there's not enough interaction between Dixon and her. Dixon goes on his own journey. She's on her own journey. They don't come together until the end.
Their journeys cannot exist together because of where they're at.
But they don't make any connection between the two.
They do have plenty of connection in between the two. Like they are passive because that's exactly what they think of each other.
No.
So
I mean, yes, she hates him, and
she's even brought it up to him.
And he has disregard for her because of the billboards and what the fuck is that?
So, so for the people who got that in the theater, probably have the thought that John has, and for the people that didn't, probably have the thing the reasoning that he had, and like, wow, that was a crap movie.
I was going to say this.
It was a journey to nowhere.
I'm going to say this as far as journeys to nowhere. I do have an entire essay that I could recite to you right now about No Country for Old Men.
Oh, don't get me started on that fucking movie.
No. There was another journey to nowhere.
That is a fucking journey to nowhere, and everybody, it's so artsy. It's oh my god, I love that movie. And you know why? Because it's so real. It's so life. Fuck that. I want to watch a movie. I want to fucking beginning, a middle, and a fucking conclusion.
There's a beginning and middle and end.
There is
You
no
didn't get what it said in
goddamn
there.
medical or ending to that goddamn movie. It's a waste of time.
That's a podcast for 10 years
Waste
ago. I will
of
say
time.
that.
Waste of time.
It's not a waste of time.
This
you
movie-
didn't get it, and you don't like it. you
No,
don't get it.
no. It's not that I don't get it. It's
Did not get it.
The
We
mother.
discussed it downstairs. That you did not get that it was a
It's all about.
generation.
Oh, it's so lifelike. Look at what happened.
Did
Yes,
I
there
say
was no
life once? I did
conclusion.
not say life once. I said it was a story of generations. You did not get that.
It's not a story of generations.
It is a story of generations.
This movie's a story of generations.
I said No Country for Old Men is a story about...
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going back to Billboard. So
Okay, 3 billboards. And what I'll say about that is a story of grief and how people do not handle it well.
I'll give you that to a certain degree, but that's
But it's
only
also-
on her part, not his.
Not just hers. His failure as a detective.
All right, when you
is what
say,
results her-
well, okay,
in
maybe
her-
when the sheriff knocks himself off and then he goes fucking irate, maybe yes, he does not deal with death well.
But he
Or
knocks
loss.
him. Okay,
But
the character we were talking about that knocks himself
Dixon.
off. You mean Woody Harrelson?
Yes,
Or, yeah.
yes.
When he knocks
and
himself
we're spoiling
off,
this
it's-
movie, by the way.
Okay, it's because of his disease. It's the fact that he had his great moment with his family, and he didn't want to see them. And I have been with people that have been on that cancer journey that know that those stages. I have a wife that knows those stage 4 stages down there. They don't want those other stages. To have that moment there, they wanted that.
I'll
That's
put it-
where he wanted to end it.
All right, as far as that's concerned, I'll put it to you this way: I don't condone what he did in any way, shape, or form. Let me make that point very, very
No, I
clear.
don't. It's
In fact, I think it was
that's actually what
not the way to do it.
when it was over, my wife and I discussed that. My
Yeah.
my oncology nurse wife discussed that. She did not agree with it.
No.
She said, "But I understood. That's what this movie
I
does."
get
well,
it,
though
but I don't.
agree with
I don't condone it.
No, you don't have to condone it. But
No.
the fact the movie made you understand it.
Yes, I got it. I mean,
So
who
that's
wouldn't?
that's what it did. It did that well.
Okay, I'll give you that one point. They did great with the guy with Woody putting a hood over his head and shooting and blowing his brains out. I'll give that to you. But from the whole, I felt like I wasted my fucking time by the time I was done with that movie. I was like, great acting, great scenes, but what the fuck was the point? I mean, not even
The point was about grief makes people do awful things. That it has the potential to be destructive to people.
but there was no lesson there. Nothing.
That what lesson?
he didn't
That's
learn
a
it.
lesson. That it's you can have destructive personality traits after grief. It is
Sure.
a lesson.
But there's nothing
There's
to
a
learn.
point. That's
they
the
actually
point.
go worse than they started out. They end up being worse people by the time they're done.
Not true. They do worse things, but what they do is when they realize where it's taking them, there's a point of return from it. The date that she has with Peter Dinklage, where she realizes the awful person she is.
Yeah.
From there.
But she
Yes.
doesn't change. She's
She
still
does
the same
change.
person.
She accepts the apology from the detective she despised through the whole film. That is a character arc. That is what makes those great actings and those great scenes. That is what makes this a great movie.
Oh, there was no conclusion. None. I'm sorry. That's just how I saw it. You can see it how you want. You can tell me. I wasted. When it comes to the story, that's why it's number 5. There's no
got
story.
a lot of screenwriting books to give you.
Go right ahead.
All right. My number 5 movie, I don't think we're going to get into a heated debate about in this
Hopefully
table.
not.
No, I think our heated debates might be done. And my number 5 movie is the psychologically reprehensible 50 Shades Darker. That movie...
I would never watch those.
I never watched the first one. Would I watch the second one? No. I'm sorry you did.
I was... This movie...
As he slowly moved his fingers up her.
Oh, no. Okay. Cheap Harlequin romance novels at least have, a point. This movie, I can tell you right now, nothing happens. This is a movie... If Seinfeld is able to take an episode of nothing and make it about something, this is a movie about nothing that stays on nothing for 2 hours. It is literally... What it wants to find kinky is not kinky. This is like the Law & Order SVU of kinky. This is dumb. This is 2 people who are psychologically damaged. He is mentally abusive beyond all rights whatsoever. The fact that any woman can watch this movie and get any kind of romance out of it, really, it
Glad
reminds
they're
me...
making another one.
Yeah.
comes out on Valentine's Day. Enjoy that one.
So did all the others. That's
Enjoy
the thing that's
that one.
disgusting.
Enjoy that one.
But here's the thing: each one of these
Get ready
movies,
for it.
it reminds me of like Twilight. You know, that's what it. And that's how
Sparkly
this started out.
vampires,
This
sparkly
whole,
vampires.
this whole story started out as a woman writing fan fiction about Twilight. She wrote the book. It somehow got famous. She changed the name. She took out the vampires. That's how this whole series started. And literally, like the middle 2 books of this is a book, a story, a movie about nothing. Nothing happens from the beginning. Nothing happens to the end. It is literally
Sounds
a
familiar.
series of bullshit.
3 darker.
There was a point to that one. I challenge
I couldn't
you.
help
I
you.
challenge you to
couldn't
watch 50 Shades
I couldn't
Darker
help you.
and find a point to that movie.
I believe you. I'm not going to watch any of that shit.
3.
But
But here's the
believe
Three
you.
thing.
darker shades of billboards.
You know what?
Funny thing is, the catch on fire. Anyway.
You know what? I guarantee you, if 50 Shades was directed by Martin McDonagh or written by Martin McDonagh, it would have had a point. But here's the thing: she is just a vacuous glutton for just psychological torment, and he is somebody who is a narcissistic sociopath. This is one of the worst couples I have ever seen on screen. They are destructive together. Their mere existence is an insult to the phrase
I don't know.
romance.
One of my honorable mention movies has probably the worst couple I think I've ever seen on screen.
I think
Go ahead.
I think it's the movie that you might have had me watch.
Yeah.
But yes, 50 Shades Darker. I'm sure it might excite some people when they watch it. These 2 leads hate themselves. If you watch the sequel, know right now these 2 leads hate each other. They cannot stand the sight of each other. Enjoy watching 50 Shades Freed knowing that.
Actually, you'd be better off just going to YouTube and look up Gilbert Gottfried reading 50 Shades of Grey.
You probably would. I mean,
That's
it's-
hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, so moving on to number 4, Rank.
My number 4 is Flatliners.
Oh, God,
The
I
remake.
avoided that movie.
was it just as bad as the original?
It's another single-digit Rotten Tomato one, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't horrible.
I heard it wasn't a movie either.
No, it was not. It was another one of those like you kept watching, waiting for it to get better, and you're like, "Ooh, when's it gonna get good? Ooh,
Something's gonna happen.
Something's gonna. Ooh, what was? Ooh, something's gonna." And you get all the way to the end, and you're like, "Fuck, nothing happened."
Okay, here's the thing. Kiefer Sutherland was in the original. I heard he's in this one.
Correct, he is.
Does he have any relation to his original character?
He plays a doctor.
So what? He
Fuck
brings
this
back the
remake.
formula for Flatliners or something?
No, so like the way this one works is there's the college kids who are interning at a hospital where Kiefer Sutherland is the doctor in charge of them, and they're trying to come up with this. They have a case, and they're trying to find out different things that'll fix it, and they're all kind of burning out, and they just
Basically, like they're high, right? Like the movie.
well, they're all burning out as far as like when you're absorbing too much information and you're going too fast and you're just like I'm toast. I'm done. I can't take any more. They go to the basement of the hospital and they find the machine and she's like, I don't think when you die that's the end. I think there's more. We need to track it with a computer. And so monitor my situation and they go and then so they do that and they resuscitate her and then they find on the EK what is it EKG
I guess.
What's
the
the
heart
EKG?
monitor.
The
Yeah.
the brain
Oh, that's brainwaves, but
with CT scan whatever the brain one is okay
Yes, the CAT scan.
the CAT scan okay
Yeah.
so they do a CAT scan while she's dying and after she's died part of the brain lights up
okay.
and then they bring her back and they're like what did you see blah 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 and then when she comes back all of a sudden she can remember everything she's ever read. She can play songs on the piano she hasn't played piano in years and all of a sudden she can do that again. It rewired her brain and all of a sudden she can connect other
So
things.
it's like Limitless.
Yes, kind of. But each one has a different experience when they go under. However, the longer you're under, the darker it gets.
Okay.
And all of a sudden these dark thoughts and stuff are creeping into their own world, and it's about how they're not. I mean, there was a lot of stuff there, and it probably could have been a good movie.
Yeah, taking on a different direction.
Yeah, but it was just.
Yeah.
It was kind of frustrating, and you're
Kind
like,
of like the first one.
Yeah, and I don't know. The trailers for it kind of made it seem okay, and then it semi-scary.
I didn't like the first one either years ago, so... Okay.
But that was my number 4.
Okay. Cool.
So your number 4?
My number 4 was 9/11, which we covered,
that
rather well.
pretty extensively.
Yes. So
All
we
right,
can
so
move
we'll
on
jump to my number 4. Tyler Perry's Boo 2: A Medea Halloween.
Why are you watching these movies?
You know, so I watched them. I watched them out of morbid curiosity. I watched this one because I heard it was made in 6 days for $25 million.
They wasted $25 million in 6 days.
That's exactly how much it looks like it was shot for. Because it's exactly like... Here's the thing. It's exactly like the first fucking movie. It's like the first dumbass movie that made my worst of list last year.
What
Didn't
movie
even
is that?
exist. The same Boo Medea Halloween.
You watched that one too?
Why watch the sequel if you haven't seen the first one? Here's the thing. The first
I
one
haven't seen either one of them.
had... Oh, God.
Nope.
No desire.
They are... I don't know where he burns this $25 million because it is... He makes these movies, like, he shoots about a third of it in, like, this den. You know, and it's always like the same improvised lines over and over again. Like, it's like you can tell he just let the camera linger on an actor, gave him, like, you know, a scene to work with. And it's maybe like a 4 or 5 page scene, but he just lets them ramble on for about half an hour about nothing. And it's painful. It's painful to listen to and watch. I mean,
Is the old guy with the beard still hit on her?
yeah.
How do you know that? Did you watch it too?
No, I saw Medea, whatever. Not Halloween, but I watched one of them.
What's worse is Tyler Perry out of makeup has teenage girls hitting on him with his fucking horrible... It's not even a dad bod. It's like however the hell he's shaped, which is not attractive, and he's got teenage girls going, "Oh, girl, your dad's fine." I'm like, how much? That's where the budget went. It was
I don't know what's better, that movie or you saying that line. That's hilarious.
This movie can just go fuck itself.
You realize when we do a best compilation, that is going on our entrance. 4 Midwest guys present, "Girl, you are fine."
Just that... Everything about this movie. I mean, I know he's got an audience for his stuff out there, but watch it outside of the theaters, guys. It does not hold up. It is just... It's painful, guys. Like, if you're sitting in a living room just by yourself and you're going to hear, like, the dead silence of bad jokes, it's some of the worst filmmaking out there.
Copy.
Like, I don't know what else to say. Guys, it's like what South Park said. If we stop giving Tyler Perry money, he'll just go away. He does... He needs that. Like, he needs just, like, to fail for that reason.
We better keep moving. I just got a message from your wife.
Yeah, I'm getting, like, sounds of text
All
as
right.
well.
Yep, I think I did too, but I just ignored it.
It's hard here. I'm, like, trying to, like, still stay in this. We're reaching, like, the top of our list. I'm like, yes, it's almost done. If you're watching this now, honey, yes, it's almost done. I'm coming home. Don't worry. Moving on to number 3.
Number 3, we liked him in Fifth Element, Unbreakable, and Die Hards, but Once Upon a Time in Venice. Awful.
What?
Awful.
That was a movie?
Bruce Willis and John Goodman in Once Upon a Time in Venice.
That was
Bruce-
a movie?
Yes, it was.
Bruce Willis and John Goodman together in a movie? I couldn't even connect them 6 degrees of separation, probably, if we played that
can
game.
now.
Now you can, but...
So John Goodman plays kind of like whatchamacallit played in The Big Lebowski.
Oh, the dude.
The dude?
Yeah.
Or Walter.
Yeah.
Walter, yeah.
So he kind of plays that kind of character. So it's not like a comedy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Movie was awful.
Yeah.
This movie's awful, and it's about Bruce Willis, and his dog gets stolen, so he has to go look for his dog. I swear to God, I thought it was like one of those Wayans movies, Wayans Brothers movies.
Really?
It was awful. Like the whole. Ugh.
I don't see Bruce Willis doing that bad of a movie. All right.
But you should watch it just to see how bad it is.
Yeah. Copy on
Alright,
that.
So you're number 3.
My number 3 is Geostorm. Let me put it to you this way.
I missed that one.
Let me put it to you this way. You're better off watching Superman 3 and watching Superman take a tornado and pull it up into the air reverse way. Remember that when we were kids?
Oh yeah.
This movie was great.
This movie was.
How
That
did you
movie,
not like this movie?
Superman 3 was
Gerard
better
Butler
than
was awesome
this.
in
This movie was
he was phenomenal.
terrible.
He was phenomenal.
Horrible.
Him and his brother,
Horrible.
that connection they had
Oh yeah,
was tremendous.
It was terrible. The whole movie was terrible. CG, nothing
Okay.
but CGI. As far as disaster movies go, it was
so,
bad.
so if you go into this movie
Even-
expecting nothing,
Yeah.
it wasn't half bad. If you go into this movie because it's a disaster movie,
No.
or you go into this movie thinking it's going to be a movie,
2012 is better
by far.
by far, like
Yeah,
light
I
years
mean,
better.
It's a bad movie, but it's at least fun to watch.
Watch
the destruction.
right.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't even have fun destruction, in my opinion.
Sure did.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's all CG. It's like.
Oh no,
That's
it's
the
all
thing, it's
CGI. But how are you going to not do CGI when you have a lot of space scenes? and,
Well, I
like,
get that, but it was. I'm sorry. No.
Well, after 2012, after the world gets destroyed so fantastically, where else do you go from there? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't, and it.
Yeah,
But
that's-
it's just like it. It'd been better off making a cartoon out of it, honestly.
I thought it was.
And G.I. Joe's, remember, 5-part series with the laser and the
Yep.
that was better.
The Weather Dominator.
The Weather
yeah.
Dominator was better.
I think that Geostorm was actually okay. It wasn't horrible,
It was horrible.
but
I can't contribute much. I haven't seen it. I just remember trailers for it coming out, just thinking, "Oh, it's gonna be a thing. Oh, it's been delayed. Oh, it's next."
Yeah.
Or just,
yeah, didn't this thing sit on the shelf for a couple years or something?
which is never good for a blockbuster.
oh, it definitely was not a blockbuster.
Well, that's what this
It is
thing
definitely
It
one of those like, oh look, something on Netflix.
That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
And that's what
Honestly.
I thought. Well, see, I saw it. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it,
Yeah.
so I had no expectations for it at all. So
All right, so moving on to number 3, my worst of the year, George Clooney's Suburbicon.
Didn't
This-
see this, but boy, did you guys hate this movie. I remember hearing you guys
my
talk about this.
Just okay. I liked Good Night and Good Luck. I like George Clooney as an actor. I like his
Ties to
charm, his
Kentucky?
class,
Yeah.
his okay, yeah, Ties to
Maysville.
Kentucky, yes.
yeah.
Been there, Maysville. Big town.
But the stuff that he directs, like fucking Ides of March was like watching paint dry. Monuments Men was like a clusterfuck of tone. And then you have this movie, which I'm a huge Coen Brothers fan. I love the Coen Brothers. Like, even their worst movie is still entertaining. And they're two of the 4 writers listed on this movie. But what this movie feels like is they turned in one draft of a script, and George Clooney and his co-producer got a hold of it, threw in a bunch of crazy shit about racism and trying to draw parallels in it, and it just is so unbalanced. I mean, it's proof that the only people who could do a Coen Brothers script justice is the Coen Brothers, and also that watching it, I started to question how much George Clooney really knows tone when he directs, because the tone for this movie was just fucking everywhere. Like, there'd be scenes where, like, you have the neighbors, you know, like, there's a black family that moves into, like, this 1950s, 1960s neighborhood. I mean, it's like an all-colorized version of Pleasantville. And, which was really interesting to me. Like, I like the Coen Brothers. I like the idea of using a 50s setting.
Colorized Pleasantville.
And, you know, you have the black family that moves next door. Like, the metaphors are, like, worn blatantly on the skin, but they don't know how to, like, effectively tie it into the rest of the story, which is about Matt Damon being a complete asshole, and just oh god, the stuff that is just done in this movie is just, it's unpleasant, it's unfun, it tried to be like this Oscar baity flick, and there's nothing worse than a movie that wants to be an Oscar bait flick that just has no idea what it's doing. It's a mess. I can't heap enough hatred on this movie.
So no promo, no direction is what you're trying to say.
I honestly think that George Clooney needs to find some kind of directing school to go to before he directs another film after this.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty bad. Brian, you saw it as well, right?
I didn't see this movie.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I saw
Sorry.
Matt Damon's other movie,
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I get them confused.
which happens to be my number 2,
Well, then.
which is what we're going up to.
So that's a good transition.
It's a good, it's a
So,
good way to
Matt Damon's other shitty movie of the year was Downsizing.
That's where they shrink them.
Yeah. It was awful. They made this movie, they put this trailer together so perfectly, and they're like, oh, he's gonna be small, and him and his wife are gonna look at all the big vodka bottle, they're all drinking from the big vodka bottle. Hey, this is pretty funny. Hey, look who all's in this movie. Oh my god.
You know what?
This movie was pure shit. And I don't say that very often.
Yeah.
This movie was such pure shit. And they're like, this movie's pure shit. How can we make it better? Oh, let's throw in racism.
Classism.
Let's
and
throw
all
in
that,
classism. Let's throw in
social.
It was awful.
Injustices.
Yes.
You know,
Oh, it was so bad.
just kind of going off of Suburbicon, how it wanted to be an Oscar bait flick. This was from a guy who's one of my favorite directors working right now, Alexander Payne. He did, like, the last film he did, Nebraska, was like my best of 2013. He did Sideways. He did Election. He's done a lot of really good movies, and I was excited for this movie. I was really excited, and then it came out, and it just flopped on the ground like a dead fish.
Oh yeah, they definitely downsized. They downsized their profits and everything else. Chances of winning anything.
Forget it.
This movie was crap. Like So you're watching it. It even starts out crappy, but you're like, well, they're gonna shrink them. It's gonna be funny.
Right? Like Honey, I Shrunk the
Yeah,
Kids at least
this
or
is gonna
something.
be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the trailers. He's talking to tiny people. It's gonna be funny. No.
No,
It
just
was
boring.
It was just so bad and boring, and then once they shrink them,
Yeah.
you can't tell that they're shrunk anymore because they quit putting big stuff into the movie. And so it's basically just like watching regular people go through this shit, and you're like, well, that's stupid. And then like towards the end, then they finally start bringing in some bigger things, and you're like, oh, they are still shrunk. I get it now. No, the whole thing was just crap,
Copy.
garbage. Don't even waste your time.
All right. Well, my number 2 is Emoji Movie, and it was definitely number 2. We've already been over that. So, John, what do you got?
My number 2 movie. Oh god! When I watched this movie, I think I was on like a chat with the both of you guys because I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna check this movie out." It was The Book of Henry, and it's a movie that reminded me that I can get angry at movies again. Like, it reminded me of the old days of the 90s, watching like Radio Flyer and Josh and Sam, and the type of movies that just like they wanted to connect with kids and just be like this meaningful kids movie, but it was so badly handled. Like, it went from being this, okay, you're a pretty bland and dumb movie that has no way of knowing how people basically interact, until the moment that, okay, I'm gonna throw out the spoiler. Henry fucking dies in the middle of the movie. This kid who's like this absolute
spoiler
genius. Yeah.
I was gonna watch that movie.
Is this kid who's like this absolute genius that does the financial taxes for his mom and everything.
Oh, I saw the trailer for this movie.
Yeah, no,
I know what you're talking about now. I had no idea
remember
before.
that? Okay, yeah, it's this movie, and he's just.
I still lost, but that's all right.
Okay, I'll just tell you this: the guy that directed it was Colin Trevorrow.
Oh,
And
Isn't his dad Luke Wilson
I don't know.
or Owen Wilson?
I'm so glad
don't
they
know.
fired him from
But
episode
here's the
9
thing.
now.
This is the movie that people think got him fired from episode 9. Because this movie falls on his lap. And I've said it before about the other movies that we put on this list about tonal inconsistency. The way he jumps from attempted, dark material to attempted cuteness to attempted heart-wrenching emotion. It's just, that's the thing, it's just such an attempt from one scene to the next that by the time it gets to the end, there's just so much awfulness, so much just like you can literally tell it was just the hand of the writer manipulating every event going on in the film. It like as it's going on, I was in awe of how badly handled a movie like this could be. And which is a shame because I love Naomi Watts. I love Naomi Watts as an actress. And I hate seeing her wasted. She was in a movie last year that was my worst movie of last year called Shut In. Her and the same kid are in this movie again, and it's like the two of them together are like a formula for disaster. So it's just my number 2, The Book of Henry. It started getting me as angry as Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Like it's on that pantheon of awful kids films.
John Smash.
Yeah, just.
All right.
So now, since we're up to number 1,
Dun, 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 dun.
honorable
go.
mention real
Honorable-
fast?
Go for
Or do
it.
number 1.
Let's do our honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. So mine were Disaster Artist. We already talked about it. Despicable Me 3.
Yeah.
Fell way short of what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
The Shack.
Never saw it.
Let's talk about a movie who took itself way too seriously.
That was one of those like Pure Flix movies, or oh god,
It
those
was-
are a train wreck.
Oh, this was so bad. And then the last one that almost made it into my top 10, but shouldn't have been anywhere close. It probably should have been on my best list.
Yeah.
But the duo, the romantic duo between the actor and actress, was so piss poor, and you could tell it wasn't there.
Yeah.
The Mountain Between Us.
I watched that movie purely on your recommendation because I thought we were doing a whole episode on it.
I wanted to do a review of it because I was like, oh my god, and because originally before people were talking like it's gonna be it's a good movie. There's buzz around it. You know, it could get some roles for best actor actress.
Yeah.
It could have been. It has so much potential.
Yes, and it was just so bad.
Okay. I don't have any honorable mentions.
There was no chemistry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think my only honorable mention would probably be like what I mentioned, Transformers: The Last Night, which almost made my list, didn't quite make my list. Yeah.
All right, time for
all right, our number 1 worst movie of the year. Which Brian wants to go first?
Go ahead.
mine is, and this kind of goes along with disappointment, Hank, what we were talking about earlier with disappointment. Mine's The House. I thought this movie, you got Will Ferrell together, you got Amy Poehler together. It looked pretty funny from the trailers. I thought you couldn't miss with this one, but wow, do you miss with this one?
It's funny because I haven't seen it and I was thinking about seeing it.
It's funny in parts. It has its moments, but all they really kind of do is they frighteningly gross you out, kind of, in this movie. Certain scenes, but that's about it.
It sounds fantastic.
I mean, Will Ferrell is Will Ferrell.
This is the gambling one?
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Okay.
they're trying to turn the house
Okay,
into a casino.
just making sure.
And I wanted.
This is a Bob's Burger episode.
Yeah.
That was like a side story.
It would have been better as like a 30-minute movie. Yeah, it was just. I was just really disappointed. I mean, let down, disappointed. I was expecting hilarity, and I got. I'm not sure what I got. Yeah, it was not funny though. I mean, it's like it tried too hard in spots, and like I said, it seemed like they just wanted to shock value with how far some of these things they would do, and try to, with like almost like horror elements at parts. And I'm just like, it's not funny. It missed. It completely missed with me, and maybe it's just me. I keep trying to make this funny, but
You know what I think it is? We grew up like the stuff that came out that was like the shock comedy movies in
Yeah.
our time. I think we've had so much shock comedy. There's nothing left to shock us anymore. So now, if you want to shock us, be funny.
yeah,
Because if you pull the shock away, you realize there's nothing funny underneath.
And Will Ferrell, don't get me wrong, he's funny, but he's only funny on his own for like 30 minutes, and after that, it's just not funny anymore. I was really, really disappointed and let down. I was like, oh, good. At least I was kind of in a bad mood when I started. I was like, oh, at least this will at least
It just soured
bring me
your
up.
mood
And instead, I was
more.
just like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. I hope maybe you should watch it. Hank. Maybe you'll find it funny, or maybe I was in the wrong
Oh
mood.
no, I have never not watched
No,
it.
no, no.
I think
I've not heard one good thing about this movie.
I think I'll hold off on that one.
Yeah. It was just disappointment. Highly disappointed. So that's why I made my number one. So
Well, my number one movie is the reason why Ghost in the Shell did not make my top 10 worst movies. Because I didn't feel like putting 2 Scarlett Johansson movies in my top 10. Rough Night.
Never heard of it.
Oh, okay.
So bad.
You know, I hated it the first time when it was called Very Bad Things.
Yeah. This was such a stupid movie. And, like, some of the cast in it, and you're like, oh, this could be really good.
It was a good cast.
But they... horribly put together, horrible story, not even believable. It was such a mess of a movie, and I was like, what the fuck? And then you're watching, you're like, cops cannot be that stupid. There's no way they would get away with this.
Movie cops.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, it was so bad on so many levels. But that's the whole reason. This movie was so bad, I couldn't put Ghost of a Shell in my top 10 to have 2 Scarlett Johansson movies in the top 10.
You just wanted to spare her.
Yes.
You know, I get the feeling if I saw Downsizing, it would have made my list. I would just be like, you know what? Piss off, Matt Damon.
Well, see, that's the funny thing. If I would have seen Suburbicon and felt
Oh
the same
God,
way,
you would have had.
I
it
probably
on
would
your
have had
list,
it.
Yeah.
It would have been 2 and 3 on my list.
All right, Johnny.
All right. So, of all the movies we mentioned, of everything of your guys' number one list, the one thing I will give all of you, your movies got finished. My number one worst movie of the year is probably going to go down in history as a cult favorite, The Snowman.
Oh, it was bad.
This,
So
holy shit.
I saw 10 minutes.
that's all you can stomach.
The pedigree behind this movie is astonishing. Michael Fassbender, phenomenal actor.
Very.
You have a really great cast in there. You have Chloe Sevigny, you have J.K. Simmons, you have a lot of really good actors that are in this movie. It's directed from the guy that did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's written from the person who was Oscar nominated for The Wings of the Dove. There is so much pedigree behind it. It's fucking produced by Martin Scorsese. You know? Like, this is... And here's the thing. This movie is also based off of, like, a Danish or Finnish series of detective novels, which I'm just going to get right down to it. The detective's name is Harry Hole. I want to know...
His first name is Dick.
I want to know... No, that's his occupation. So, I want to know...
He's a private dick.
It's a private dick Harry Hole. So, I want to know what writer...
Third grade comes back.
in
so
their right mind, an accomplished novelist who's writing a series about a detective says, my person is going to be named Harry Hole. That's a whole other side story, but that's just funny right then and there.
That kind of puts it in perspective, though.
The reason why, I mean, everything about this movie, there's so much stuff in there that makes no sense. There's storylines that don't connect. There's, segues that have no comprehension. There's scenes where dead bodies turn up and there's like a snowman head on there. But here's the thing. If you put a fucking snow head on somebody, by the time the police discover it, won't it have fucking melted anyway? Like, just everything about this movie...
Super Snow.
This is... And then I looked... The more I looked into it, I found out the director, like a week before it was released, he actually said, I didn't get to shoot everything I wanted to on this movie. So, this is a movie that was released incomplete. You had a legend editor, Thelma Schumacher, Martin Scorsese's editor, attempt to piece this movie together coherently and have some kind of like connection to everything. And it's just, this is a fascinating train wreck.
Even my daughter said it was sucked.
Oh god, this movie,
She's 12.
nothing makes sense. I enjoy
Sounds
a good
bad.
mystery. Murder on the Orient Express, at least by the end of it, you knew why they did stuff or like what happened in some respect.
Correct. There was an ending to it.
There was an ending. This movie, all I have to say is when you watch Val Kilmer's scenes, wait for his first line of dialogue. They didn't even attempt to dub him right. This is just... The Snowman is just a... It's a landmark
It's
of
the
awful.
No Man.
Oh, it's... I just, I almost want to watch it with people just to see the look on their face. I would endure it again just to watch my friends having to sit through and just to get the look on their face.
I want you to die.
Just an hour into it, just this look of
Mystery Science Theater.
I give up. What is going on? Yeah, but you won't have me making jokes the way those guys do.
Give in to your hatred.
All right, so I think that about wraps it up. I have
so.
Angry wife and awake 3-year-old at home right now. It is about 4 a.m. for those of us, if you're wondering what time this is being taped. I sincerely apologize, honey. This went a little longer. I had a lot I had to get out.
Outside, baby. Outside, baby.
But on the other hand, I did enjoy. Thank you for letting me get this out. This has actually been something I've always wanted to do for a long time.
Therapeutic
my
for
best
John's
and
soul.
worst, my best and worst of all time. I always make these lists, and thank you guys for letting me. Get
Absolutely.
this out. So
It was fun, man. It was
you.
fun.
Thank you all. So how do we? What's our sign off? Or is just you want to do the social media thing again?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
just,
sure, real quick. Yeah, if you want to know where to find Four Midwest Guys, if you like what you saw here, if you liked our passionate debates, check out at the number 4 MidwestGuys.com, as well as at 4 Midwest Guys on Twitter. Brian's at AnkZone. I'm at BWillie1977, and we're also on Instagram at _Rio_Ank for behind the scenes footage. So make sure you check us out. So
Please like or comment below.
follow, like, and subscribe.
Yeah. And thank you all for enjoying these 10 worst movies of 2017. We will see you all next time.
Catch you next time.
It's a groovy time for a movie time. So grab your gap and grab a seat. But don't forget to get something to eat. Delicious meat and nutritious meat.
You can't beat my meat for a special treat. Sucking on me is really neat.
Don't